This is Campus News, reporting the top stories from colleges and universities.
Next on Campus News,
we'll show you how a local student is using her head to become the first of her kind.
Students grabbed their heels and strutted their stuff for a unique show.
College football kickers give us a glimpse into the world of booting.
The tenor on campus is one of upset, disappointment, disgust.
Students and faculty express their feelings on budget cuts at Concordia. Good morning and welcome to Campus News. I'm Tyrell Philly.
And I'm Betsy Harmson. Budget concerns at Concordia College in Moorhead are resulting in major cuts by the school.
Students and faculty are upset over the removal of 9 majors at Concordia. I spoke with those feeling the budget crunch.
It's the silence here at Concordia College that speaks the loudest. There are few students walking about, talking, fewer than in past years as low enrollment plagues the college. Officials say, though the school has faculty for 2,700 students, only 2,100 cobbers are currently enrolled. According to administration at Concordia, $2.7 million needs to be saved or generated. Some of these savings came in the form of cuts, mostly to humanities programs such as classical studies and languages. Though administration declined an interview, the college states, metrics such as student-faculty ratio and average class size indicate a need to adjust staffing to current enrollment levels.
9.
Classical Studies Chair Dr. Heather Waddell-Gruber says her department is feeling the brunt of the cuts. Of the 9 majors to be cut, 8 are either language or humanities programs. The results? 3 lost jobs for tenured faculty, a 4th untenured professor gone at the end of the semester, yet another instructor opting for early retirement.
I think it's deplorable for a college of the liberal arts to so viciously attack their liberal arts. And cutting language programs and classics programs is the oldest trick in the book.
Hear from the administration, but I couldn't talk to anybody.
The department held a forum for students in the program to voice their thoughts.
I mean, we're losing these other.
The tension in the room was easy to see.
And it's completely fallen on.
Students expressed a range of emotions.
What has happened has just been utterly revolting.
Are we not valued? And now they did this.
I love it at Concordia, and for the first time I feel like a number.
I've never felt more betrayed, and I've never felt more demoralized in my life.
This problem is not unique to Concordia. Both MSUM as well as NDSU are battling budget shortfalls. MSUM is also suffering from low enrollment and must cover 10% of its budget for next year. Meanwhile, NDSU must cut $6.4 million by delaying research. As for what's to come, administration at Concordia says cuts will cease after this year. For now, the silence speaks loudest.
Concordia says the 38 students involved in the cut programs may still graduate in their respective majors, but no new students will be admitted.
The University of North Dakota is also facing a budget battle and has days to come up with $9.5 million. The state of North Dakota is facing a $1 billion budget shortfall and must cut spendings on state universities. The legislature capped tuition increases at 2.5%. UND needed 3.7% increase to balance the budget, and the cuts have to be made by February 17th. UND will possibly have to cut another $8 million. Governor Jack Dalrymple is unsure if the state will need to tap into stabilization funds. The last time UND saw a budget problem this large was during the floods of 1997.
A former MSUM employee is suing the university, claiming officials denied her a new position in the Women and Gender Studies program due to her age. 63-year-old Claudia Murphy filed a lawsuit against MSUM, claiming the school discriminated against older candidates by requiring them to have a PhD in a program that was not offered until 1995. MSUM said in a statement to Campus News, while the university does not comment on the specific aspects of pending litigation, we do have high standards for all our faculty, staff, and administrators, and when we have openings, we set hiring qualifications that reflect these expectations.
The MSUM's 4th of July celebration was a $35,000 financial burden for the university. Earlier in January, President Ann Blackhurst posted an online letter saying MSUM will no longer fund the event because it doesn't serve an educational purpose for students. But recently, the Moorhead Business Association drafted a plan to bring the 4th of July celebration as an annual event.
We have been firm about our decision that we will not own the event moving forward, but we'd love to be a participant in continuing the event.
The booming tradition will continue with MSUM still hosting the event.
The Neuroscience program at Concordia College is saying goodbye to its first graduate this summer.
It's a new major at the college which is expected to produce high-demand graduates. Reporter Timur Sati has our story.
Molly Larson, senior at Concordia College, graduating this spring under the Neuroscience department, and sees Neuroscience major as a great opportunity for students to broaden their knowledge and get a good job. Concordia College was one of the options she was left with when deciding to choose college for an undergrad.
I came in to Concordia, I wanted to go to med school, and Concordia has an excellent acceptance rate into med school. So the combination of near Minnesota or near to my hometown, good with the med school acceptance and small liberal arts, really left me with very few options.
Molly Larson is one of the first students who will be graduating from Neuroscience department at Concordia.
You know, is my TA, so she's helping me out with classes. She helps students, so she's kind of involved all things. She's like the poster child for neuroscience, I think. So she's very much, you know, an appropriate student to be one of our first neuroscience majors for sure.
She is amazed to have supportive faculty and family in her life, and especially her fiancé, who told her,
yes, you can go away for the summer and we're not going to see you for another 3 months, which is a big part of making those kind of decisions. So.
She is planning to take a year off to complete the research to get into the master's program. With photographer Marina Vrescon, Timur Sati, Campus News.
Neuroscience changed its status from a minor to a major. Molly was originally a biology major with a minor in neuroscience. We all rely on our cell phones to get us through the day. NDSU researchers are trying to revolutionize smartphone technology.
Dr. DeBossis Don and his students are hoping the research and construction of this technology will help us get one step closer to keeping our phones alive longer. Haley Gerlach reports.
The probes are okay, right?
Dr. Don, who is a part of the Electrical and Computer Engineering Department at NDSU, is excited to start phase 1 of his research.
We are trying to develop one particular chip which is used to communicate wirelessly. So our target is to make that tiny chip, right, more functional.
He was awarded $100,000 in funding from the North Dakota Department of Commerce.
So the $100,000 they gave us to develop a new technology, as I just described, a chip, a smart chip, which will work for many functionalities, right?
He says the goal of this research is to reduce battery usage and increase talk time by 50%.
It will take less power and do the same thing.
Dr. Don is utilizing 2 students to help conduct the research and run the labs on a daily basis. If phase 1 is successful, he will move to phase 2, where they will begin the packaging process.
Then the phase 2 will be, we need a business partner, basically. So they will work together to go for the product.
Dr. Don says that if this technology is successful, it will help create new business and job opportunities for North Dakota. With photographer Annie Pearson, Haley Gerlach, Campus News.
The research is still in phase 1 and should take about 4 months to complete and move to phase 2.
Researchers at the University of Minnesota are coming up with a Band-Aid for your heart. Scientists at the U of M, including Dr. Frank Bates, came up with the idea several years ago. This would help heart attack patients or people with congenital heart defects. The group says it has successfully tested the device on animals like mice and pigs. Bates says that it could save 1,000 lives a year.
NDSU students have a new space to study the sciences. The building is built around the idea of making learning in groups easier. Reporter Tyler Jensen has more.
In NDSU's new STEM classroom building, students and teachers have a host of ways to learn and teach. The building features classrooms with TV monitors across the room, walls made of whiteboard, and of course, plenty of space for students to study. For NDSU nursing student Jordan Ofdahl, these study areas are a very appealing part of the building.
All the accessibility to like printing's on the first floor, there's areas to study, there's like see behind me, like there's a whiteboard where you can put your thoughts out there and like, which I'm a visual person, so it helps with that.
According to NDSU, one of the requirements for the new building was to include new lab styles and technology to replace spaces at NDSU between 40 and 100 years old. For teachers like biology professor Dr. Jenny Momsen, these new classrooms help her teach students in ways she couldn't before.
I interact with the students all the time. You could see that as I was walking around. I can really see what they're thinking, hear what they're thinking, and that's just not possible in a traditional lecture hall.
There is still a learning curve at the new facility, though. One thing Momsen is working on is not letting the building change her teaching style completely.
Part of it is me learning how to use the technology appropriately and not letting the technology dictate what I do in the classrooms.
Still, the consensus seems to be that people love the new building and will enjoy working in it for years to come. With photographer Skylar Zach, Tyler Jensen, Campus News.
NDSU says they hope the new building will serve as the model for lab buildings across the state. The MSUM women's basketball game received a few unlikely visitors.
The Red River Zoo brought some of its furry creatures to promote a 3K run at the zoo called the Frostival. I went to check out what the Red River education staff brought us to see. As spectators took in the women's basketball game against Southwest Minnesota State, some kids got an up-close look of the smaller players at Nemzik Fieldhouse, all to encourage people to participate in a 3K run at the Red River Zoo.
What we're trying to do is get our community involved, to embrace the cold weather, get outside and be active even though it's cold outside.
Wow. The Red River education staff brought out their furry chinchilla and their ball python to get people to come out and enjoy the animals as they enjoy a brisk run.
I'm really excited to have all the people come out to the zoo to do the almost 3K run, and we also have an almost 1.5K youth run. And the zoo is just a really unique place to have a run.
This 3K is sponsored by MSUM and a part of the Frostival, a winter-inspired event hosted all over Fargo.
So we thought, since Fargo Moorhead Visitor Bureau new slogan is North of Normal, why not have an almost 3K run at the zoo? That seems a little north of normal.
With their curious hands and smiling faces, the kids came for the game but stayed for the animals. With photographer Michael Schumer, Betsy Thompson, Campus News. The Frostival is a collaboration between all three park districts, Minnesota State University Moorhead, and the Downtown Community Partnership and the Economic Development Corporation.
MSUM students laced up their running shoes for the almost 3K run. The Red River Zoo held the run and was hosted by MSUM. Dragons and attendees bundled up to race in the cold weather while watching the zoo animals. Runners got into the zoo for free while spectators' admission was half off.
We live in a place where we can't really do a lot of things outside this time of the year. So it's cool that they're throwing something that we can, and the weather cooperated with us and it brings the community together.
Along with the almost 3K, MSUM also helped to host a 1.5 youth run at the zoo.
One major at NDSU is running full speed ahead. The NDSU Equine Program has only been galloping for 13 years, but has grown from 30 full-time students to 60. With tugs, pulls, and a little help from their large friends, these students at NDSU are a part of the Equine Science Program. Tate Eck is a professor, advisor, and rodeo coach for NDSU. Eck says that the growth of the program shows it's popular with students. He hopes to see more students, more classes added, and larger spaces in the near future. NDSU is also known to be one of the 7 universities to have a therapeutic horsemanship program.
For one adjunct professor at MSUM, his passion for telling stories has turned into helping others.
Reporter Alyssa Eidsness tells us how a news assignment turned into an annual trip.
In the middle of winter, a medical team travels from Fargo to Pignon, Haiti. Among the group is Kevin Wallabin, an adjunct professor from MSUM and a reporter for WDAY.
Well, I go to Trinity Lutheran in Moorhead, and Dr. Siri Fibiger told me about a mission trip she was taking and that she thought it'd be an interesting story. Good evening and welcome. Tonight WDAY Television presents a special half hour. I had someone stop me in the street 2 weeks ago in Haiti and said, "Do you want to see," her name is Charlie. I said, "Yes." So we went to see her. She's now 20. She finished school in Haiti and wants to go on to medical school to be a doctor. And this was a girl that was on death's door, and now she wants to go to medical school. That was a great story.
The medical team treats cleft palates and different types of surgeries.
You know, subsequent years, I just found it really interesting place in Haiti to go, and I loved the work that the team was doing, the volunteer work, and I think we all just found our own kind of special reason why we wanted to keep going.
With photographers Skylar Zach and Maddie Hansen, Alyssa Eidsness, Campus News.
Walden plans to continue his trips to Pinyon for years to come.
A nursing student from North Dakota State University was named Student Nurse of the Year for 2015-2016 by the Nursing Student Association. Leah Hermanson is a junior nursing major. Hermanson is an active member of NDSU Student Nurses Association. She raises donations and awareness for nursing-related issues. Hermanson said she was surprised to win against so many other worthy candidates and that she was extremely humbled by her victory.
NDSU President Dr. Dean Brashani has found himself in the center of a plane ticket upgrade issue that the head of the university system has called an embarrassment. Reporter Levi Lass has more.
NDSU's president has upgraded his plane ticket from coach to business class for a trip that he took to India. We asked local NDSU students what they thought about their president's actions.
Well, I feel it's not that fair that he could just use our money to upgrade his ticket for personal reasons or, just because he wanted to. And I think that there should be a policy that can allow him to have a certain amount of money from a budget that allows him to do stuff like that, but he shouldn't be drawing from just our taxpayers' money to do that.
For some students, it was a moral issue rather than a financial one.
I think it was actually pretty unethical of him. It's taxpayer money and it shouldn't be used for his own personal use.
Most students we spoke with were opposed to President Brashani's ticket upgrade, but some students were willing to defend the president and his actions.
Honestly, I feel like the president is the president, and if he needs to make the decision to go from coach to business class, that's entirely up to him.
While no action is being taken against President Brashani, the North Dakota University System's chancellor is reviewing its policies to stop issues like this from happening in the future. Levi Lass, Campus News.
President Brashani's total ticket price cost NDSU over $8,000. For one DJ at MSUM's Dragon Radio, being on the airways is a dream he's always had.
A little push from family and the desire to follow a passion has this dragon on the air. Reporter Derek Barkowitz has more.
Alrighty, folks.
For Trevor Tice, radio was always something he was told he was good at, so he figured he would wing it and try out for Dragon Radio.
I started mainly because a lot of my family, like my great aunt and other relatives, had constantly told me, you should try out for radio or go for it sometime.
He saw the KMSC posters around campus, and that's how he got his start with Dragon Radio, and it's turned into a passion for him.
I love doing it, and it just fits. Play some Red Hot Chili Peppers, because who doesn't like, some Red Hot Chili Peppers?
He has worked at KMSC since spring 2015. His biggest accomplishment of being a DJ is pulling the late shows.
But anyways, I'm, usually always, here doing my show, helping out others.
He says he is very honored to be DJ of the Month with photographer Samantha Stark. Derek Barkowitz, Campus News.
You can listen to Trevor's show Neo Necropolis every Wednesday 9 p.m. to 11:30 and Fridays 1 to 3. And now we turn it over to Haley Foster for a look at this week's sports. Haley, you just had to rub salt in the wound, didn't you?
I really did. I had to bring it up, and no offense to Blair Walsh, but I was able to make the kick in jeans. The NFL season is over, and the Denver Broncos took home the title at Super Bowl 50. But many Midwesterners are still hung up on a specific playoff game. I caught up with two student athletes who say while kickers may be the go-to fall guys, they're still important to the game.
Remember the moment.
That did not just happen.
Blair Walsh, the Vikings star kicker, broke fans' hearts when he missed a game-winning field goal.
And the kick is no good.
Not just any field goal, but one that would have beaten favored Seattle and moved the Vikings deeper into the playoffs. And that left a lot of fans angry and bitter.
Way to go, Blair Walsh. Way to ruin little kids' dreams.
And some of them are still missed.
How could you miss that?
Reed Taubenheim and Eddie Clifton know the role of kickers well. Taubenheim is the kicker for the University of North Dakota, and Clifton kicks for Concordia.
I was pretty mad. I kind of wanted to break some things.
A kick like that you really need to make. I mean, the team was counting on him, and I feel for the guy because like, it's tough.
The miss left fans and media questioning the role of a kicker.
They're not football players. They aren't.
Taubenheim disagrees.
If you really think about it, football is just a game of a bunch of different skills all coming together to be one as a team. And, you have your quarterback that throws it, that's his skill. The receiver that catches it. Kicker and punter, those are just another skill that goes into the team. Are we the big, burly, scary football players? Maybe not, but we're definitely a big part of the team because everyone needs a kicker, whether they like it or not.
So does Clifton.
Without kickers, you'd have to score touchdowns to go ahead every single time, so they kind of are, and they also score the most points.
But does having the laces out really matter? I put Taubenheim to the test. After kicking laces in nearly 20 times, this was his takeaway.
When you have the laces in, I've noticed that the ball hooks a lot. We're going to talk about Blair Walsh whenever he missed that field goal. Since he was a righty, if he was on the right hash and the laces were facing him, it's going to make him hook it a little bit, which I think that's why he missed left.
When it comes to kicking, Taubenheim says there are several factors to consider.
The snap has to be perfect, the hold has to be perfect, and the kick has to be perfect. And if one thing's off, I'm telling you, it can sink the whole ship.
Both Taubenheim and Clifton agree.
My special teams coach in high school, he always told me, he's like, the holder could completely drop it and it'll still be the kicker's fault. It's always the kicker's fault.
When you sign up for the life of a kicker,
yeah, I guess kind of the life.
You have to be prepared to shoulder the blame as well.
Taubenheim and Clifton both say the key to making a game-winning kick is to not overthink it. MSUM is celebrating its most successful signing season in recent years. 37 players committed to play football for the Dragons. Many of the recruits come from the Fargo-Moorhead area. Key signings include Nate Stitch, Devontae Delbrun, and Malik Delbrun, all from Moorhead, Minnesota. The Dragons football team went 6-5 this season. The upcoming season will mark Coach Lockway's 6th season as head coach for the Dragon football team. The North Dakota State University football team added 26 players to their squad on National Signing Day. Some of the key recruits include offensive lineman Quinn Allo, tight end Matt Beegler, and running back Adam Cofield. The Bison capped off their season with a 5th straight national championship win, making the NDSU team the only college football team to win 5 straight championships. University of North Dakota's football head coach Bubba Schweigert says he's excited about this year's signing day. UND added 22 additions to the football program. The class features quarterback Ben Belinsky, safety Jordan Kennedy, and tight end Alex Cloyd. The team finished the season with a record of 7-4. Dodge, duck, dive, dip, and dodge are just a few words from the movie Dodgeball that describe the sport. But reporter Trent Spiorski shows us how students are using balls to raise awareness.
With the flick of a wrist, students at Nemzik Fieldhouse unite to spread awareness for testicular cancer. For the past few years, the MSUM wellness educators have been hosting the Besties with Your Testes Dodgeball Tournament. Everybody who entered received a free t-shirt that reads, "Be Besties with Your Testes."
It's a good way for everyone to get together to play a sport that pretty much anyone is able to.
But for Jesse, it's more than just playing a favorite childhood game.
I've had a couple friends pass away from cancer, so it's in my family too, so it's really not a joking matter.
According to testicularcancersociety.org, about 350 men die from the disease each year in the United States. The cancer mostly affects men aged 15 to 35. The dodgeball tournament is gaining popularity each year. Whether it's throwing a ball or watching their friends compete, students teamed up to show support for a curable type of cancer.
A lot of people love playing dodgeball. Who doesn't want to hit someone in the, well, you shouldn't throw it in someone's face, but, hit somebody with a ball.
Contenders anxiously watch from the sidelines, hoping their team can come away with a win.
Good to spread awareness for any type of cancer.
Even though some left empty-handed, students showed up in numbers, ready to collaborate in full force. With photographer Veronica Utek, Trent Spiorski, Campus News.
According to cancer.org, more than 8,000 new cases of testicular cancer arise in the United States each year. I don't know about you guys, but that really took me back to my middle school dodgeball days. How about you? Did you ever play?
I didn't play very well, but what a fun way to bring awareness to an important issue. Thanks, Haley. MSUM held its 6th annual drag show.
But for one student, it's his 2nd time performing on stage. Reporter Derek Barkowitz has more.
The night was filled with eventful performances. One that really stands out is the performance by Todd Richter.
Growing up was really hard. It became my outlet in college after going through a hard time in my life personally. It gave me control back in my life. It allowed me to be creative, have fun, show myself how confident I can be.
Richter goes by Harmony Diamond while on stage. For Harmony, the show is more than just performing on stage.
All my numbers are inspired by people in my life or personal experiences that I've gone through. And I think drag shows are entertainment. You know, we're entertainers. This is what we do.
Well, the performers enjoy putting on a show, and MSUM freshman enjoys what the show had to offer.
I personally feel that doing something like this takes a lot of courage and is an art in itself.
Harmony is part of the reason why students keep coming back to drag shows. With photographer Samantha Stark, Derek Barkowitz, Campus News.
MSUM's After Dark, Spectrum, and Rainbow Dragon Center hosted the annual Tri-College Drag Show in the Comstock Memorial Union Ballroom.
And that's it for this edition of Campus News.
We leave you with another look at the critters from the Red River Zoo.
Thanks for joining us, and have a great week.
Campus News is produced by the Television News Workshop in the School of Communication and Journalism at Minnesota State University Moorhead in cooperation with Prairie Public Television.